We gave your child's operation money to your sister. She deserves a better life. Dad said it like a badge of honor, not betrayal. Mom nodded beside him, smiling faintly, as if ruining my child's chance at surgery was some moral triumph. The air went silent. Even the sound of the ceiling fan felt too loud. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I just looked across the table at my fiancé, Daniel. His hand was already tightening around mine under the table, steady, protective. My sister, Clara, smirked and said sweetly, "You'll understand one day, Mia. Life rewards those who make something of themselves." Something in me broke quietly. Dad leaned back, sipping his tea. "Clara's opening a boutique. She needs that money more than you do. Your son's surgery isn't life or death. It can wait. But your sister's dream? That's an investment." Daniel stood up slowly.
Calm.
Controlled. "Mr. and Mrs. Harper," he said, voice low but sharp. "Do you have any idea what you just said?" Mom frowned. "Sit down, Daniel. Don't make this dramatic. We raised Mia to share. You, of all people, should understand family sacrifice." Daniel's jaw flexed. "You want to talk about sacrifice? Fine." He reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and unlocked the screen. "Should I tell them what I do for a living?" Clara's confident smile wavered. Dad blinked. "What do you mean?" Daniel turned the screen toward them, and the color drained from Clara's face. "Because if I do," he said softly, "this entire conversation changes." Daniel's calmness was terrifying. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't even blink. He just looked at my parents, two people who had stolen my child's future, as if he was finally seeing them clearly. Dad crossed his arms. "Don't start threatening us, son. We did what we had to." Daniel's tone stayed level. "No, you did what you wanted to." He turned the phone around, the screen displaying an email header. "Harper Family Financial Audit. Confidential access granted." My father's face went pale. "You're in finance?" he asked slowly. Daniel smiled without warmth.
Close.
"I'm a forensic accountant. I specialize in tracing misused funds, especially charity and medical donations." Clara's hand froze on her glass. You can't be serious." "Oh, I'm very serious," Daniel said. "Do you know what happens when someone reroutes designated medical funds into a private account? It's called fraud." Mom's voice trembled. "You wouldn't report your own family." Daniel looked at me, then back at her. "I don't need to. The hospital already did when they noticed the withdrawal trail. I just confirmed where it ended." My sister's lip quivered. "You checked my account? You used your full name for the transfer," he replied. Not exactly subtle. Dad slammed his fist on the table. "We're family." Daniel leaned in, eyes cold. "Then act like it. Because right now, I'm the only one at this table who still remembers what that word means." Silence. Heavy, humiliating silence. And for the first time in my life, my family looked smaller than their excuses. Dad's voice cracked the silence. "You can't just barge in here and throw accusations around, Daniel. You're not part of this family yet." Daniel tilted his head, unbothered. "Then maybe that's a good thing." Mom shot him a glare. "We did what was right for both our children. Clara needed a start in life." My chest tightened. "And my son needed a heart valve." The words fell like glass between us. No one moved. Clara muttered, "You're being dramatic. Hospitals always exaggerate. Kids recover." Daniel's voice cut through hers like a blade. "He's 5, Clara. Do you have any idea what recovery means for him? He sleeps with machines, keeping him alive while you play entrepreneur with stolen money." Her smirk vanished. He opened a folder on his phone, scrolling through screenshots, bank records, wire confirmations, emails from the hospital's billing department. Dad leaned forward, sweating now. "Where did you get those?" Daniel didn't answer him. He looked at me instead. "They transferred every cent you raised from the fundraiser into Clara's account. And your father approved the transaction with his signature. The date lines up with the same day the hospital's payment bounced." My stomach turned. "You knew?" I whispered to Dad. He didn't meet my eyes. "We plan to pay it back." "With what?" Daniel asked sharply. "Your retirement fund? Or your daughter's boutique sales? Mom tried to stand, but Daniel's tone stopped her cold. You don't need to explain. You'll have the chance to, when the auditors contact you. Their faces drained of color. And just like that, the silence of guilt finally replaced the noise of excuses. Dad's knuckles turned white on the edge of the table. You wouldn't dare involve outsiders in family matters, he hissed. Daniel leaned back, calm as ever. It's already done. The hospital initiated a review the moment the funds vanished. All I did was confirm where they went. Mom's lips trembled. We were going to give it back. Clara just needed to get her store open first. Stop, I said quietly. You didn't borrow it. You took it. From your grandson's surgery fund. And you justified it because you thought I'd stay quiet like always. Clara's eyes darted between us, her bravado crumbling. Mia, I swear, I didn't know it was his money. Dad said it was extra from the fundraiser. I laughed softly. There was no extra. Every dollar had a name on it. Donors who trusted us. Daniel slid a folder across the table, a printed report stamped with the hospital's logo. They've already filed preliminary charges. But they're willing to hold off formal action if the money is returned within 72 hours. Mom gasped. 72? That's impossible, Dad muttered. We can't move that kind of cash fast enough. Daniel shrugged. Then maybe it's time you call your golden daughter's investors. Clara's voice cracked. You're ruining us. I met her eyes. No, Clara. You did that when you decided my child's pain was less important than your lifestyle. For a moment, no one spoke. Only the sound of Dad's labored breathing filled the room. Then Daniel stood, placing his phone down like a final warning. You've got 72 hours, he said. After that, the next call comes from the attorney. And as he took my hand to leave, my family finally understood. This time, I wasn't bluffing. The next morning, my phone buzzed nonstop. Missed calls, messages, voicemails. Mom's voice in one. Mia, please don't do this. We'll fix it. We just need more time. Dad's in another. You're not thinking clearly. You'll destroy your own family. But I was thinking clearly for the first time in my life. I stared at the calendar reminder Daniel had set. 72-hour deadline expires Friday, 9 a.m. The day crawled by. Daniel worked quietly beside me, laptop open, checking wire records. He didn't speak unless necessary, just placed a comforting hand on my shoulder whenever my resolve started to waver. On day 2, Clara called from an unknown number. Mia, please. The boutique's launch failed. I can't get investors. Dad's freaking out. Mom won't stop crying. I said nothing. She exhaled shakily. You've changed. You're cold. I smiled faintly. No, Clara. I just learned to match your temperature. Silence. Then she whispered, I never thought you'd actually go through with this. You never thought I could, I replied. The final night, Mom showed up at my door, makeup smeared, hands trembling. She didn't speak at first. She just held out a check. We sold the cottage. It's all we had left. I looked at it, $48,000. The exact amount they'd stolen. I hope your sister learned something from this, she said quietly. She won't, I answered. But I did. When Daniel submitted the repayment confirmation to the hospital the next morning, the legal department sent a simple message back. Case closed. Funds restored. I closed my laptop slowly. The storm was finally quiet. For a few days, everything went silent again, the kind of silence that isn't peace but aftermath. Then, on Thursday night, Dad called. His voice sounded smaller than I'd ever heard it. We lost the boutique, he muttered. Clara's investors pulled out after hearing rumors about the hospital funds. Daniel looked up from his laptop, mouthing, they deserved that. I said nothing. Dad continued, your mother's been different. She doesn't leave the house. Clara barely speaks. Are you happy now, Mia? The old me would have felt guilt. But now? I only felt the weight of truth. I didn't destroy you, I said softly. You destroyed yourselves the moment you chose her dream over your grandson's heartbeat. He exhaled shakily. You sound just like Daniel. Maybe that's a compliment, I said and ended the call. The next morning, Daniel handed me a brown envelope. Inside were printed copies of every transaction, every transfer, every lie, sealed with his firm's verification stamp. "This is for your records," he said. "Not for revenge, just protection. You've earned the right to never be manipulated again." I stared at him, emotion rising. "You did all this for me?" He smiled faintly. "For you, and for that little boy upstairs who deserves parents who can sleep at night." That night, as I tucked my son into bed, his tiny hand curled around mine. For the first time, I didn't feel powerless. I felt anchored. They'd spent their lives teaching me that silence was strength. But Daniel taught me something better. Silence isn't power. Truth is. And now, the truth belonged entirely to me. 2 weeks later, Mom texted. "Mom, family dinner Sunday. Just us. No tension this time, I promise." Daniel raised an eyebrow when I showed him. "You think it's a setup?" "Definitely," I said. "But I'll go." He smiled. "Then I'm coming too." When we arrived, the atmosphere was too calm. Table perfectly set, candles lit, the smell of roast chicken filling the air. It was their classic distraction tactic. Make it feel like love, so you forget the wound underneath. Clara greeted us first, fake smile in place. "You look well," she said. "So do you," I replied, scanning the empty walls. "Where are your boutique posters?" Her smile flickered. I took them down. Rebranding. Dad cleared his throat. "We wanted to talk about moving forward." Daniel leaned back, his arm brushing mine. "Before we move anywhere, you should know, your daughter's financial record is clean again. But if any of you try touching her name or accounts again, I'll make sure the next audit isn't private." The silence was instant. Mom reached for my hand. "Mia, I know we hurt you. I know we don't deserve forgiveness. But we're trying." I studied her face, older, tired, deflated. For the first time, she wasn't speaking from superiority. She was speaking from loss. "I believe you," I said softly. "But forgiveness isn't a restart. It's a boundary." Dad nodded slowly. "You sound just like your grandfather." That made me pause. "Grandpa." He looked down. Before he passed, he told me something I never understood until now. I waited. He met my eyes, voice breaking. He said, "One day, you'd be the one who saves this family from itself." The room fell silent after Dad's words. For once, there was no defense, no guilt-ridden speeches, just the raw quiet of people realizing what they'd become. Mom wiped her eyes. "We thought control meant love. That giving everything to Clara was protecting the family's image. But all we did was destroy the only person who kept us human." I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time I didn't feel hate. I felt closure. Daniel squeezed my hand under the table, grounding me. "Families rebuild," he said softly, "but only when truth replaces pride." Clara sat still, staring at her untouched plate. "I lost everything," she whispered. "The boutique, the investors, my reputation." "You didn't lose everything," I said quietly. "You just lost what wasn't yours." Her eyes met mine, and this time there was no defiance, just exhaustion. "I'm sorry, Mia," she said, the words trembling. "For all of it. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't enough. But it was a start." After dinner, Dad walked us to the car. The night air was cool, the sky clear. "I know we can't undo what we did," he said, voice low. "But I'm proud of you. You stood your ground. You became the kind of person I was too weak to be." I smiled faintly. Then maybe that's what Grandpa meant. Driving home, Daniel reached for my hand. "You okay?" I looked out the window at the quiet streets. Better than okay. I didn't just get justice, I got peace. Because sometimes revenge isn't loud. It's calm, quiet, and undeniable. And when it comes, it doesn't burn the past. It buries it with grace.